Hey everybody, Ben for the Bonehead podcast, and welcome to Monster Monday. This is where we look at star players, big guys, monsters, cool models that actually just fit into my beautiful little alliteration world. So, Games Workshop have recently revealed a Snake Man star player as part of the Amazon release. We don't know when that model's coming out, how much that model's going to be, really what the stats are. What we do know is that Fanath saw this and thought, we can do this. And 3 days later, this guy was released. This is a Resin model and also an STL. So we are going to have a look at both. So this model is available on the Fanath website under their star player section called Shaman Snake. So the Boa Constrictor star player has dropped, and we don't really know what strength he is. We don't know what size he is, not really. We do know that Fanath have absolutely knocked it out of the park already with this model that they've got painted. So this is a really interesting situation here. How can a model company go from no model to this model in a really quick mode? I don't know. Maybe they had the inside track. Maybe they were just working on a Snakeman model. I don't know. But all I know is that this landed perfectly timed. And with two options. This is something that I don't think we've seen very often, if at all, and I absolutely love it. So this is the Resin model. 32mm Resin model. They've done a great job here. You can see they've got the size of the model, and you can zoom in on it as well, which is really quite impressive. And you've got the breakdown there. So I love the way Fanath do their models. It's kind of got that second to third edition old school vibe to it. These models look and feel like the Citadel models that were brought out in the 90s, and that has a really beautiful charm. Their high elf team they've just dropped is gorgeous, and their dwarf team is quite frankly one of my favourite teams of all time. Their frog team's amazing as well. Anyway, I like Fanath. They do great work. So we've got the Shaman Snake here. So this is supposed to be a star player snake, right? So it's going to be Boa Constrictor, the new one. Size-wise, it's the size of a 32mm model. €8 here. So this is available right now on the website. Link below. €8. Now, I can't remember how much shipping was to the UK. I think it was something like €4 or €5. So for 12, €13, this model was delivered. That's going to be about half the price of a Forge World model. Now, not only can you buy this in resin and have it actually just delivered to you in a packet with a base as a physical model, which I know I seem a little bit surprised about, but these days it feels like everything's STL. So when there is a model actually released, it's brilliant. Oh, I love the wolf. Look at that. That is a beautiful logo. All right, 20 points to you. Anyway, 3D files. Let's click this. And when the store loads, we've got Fantasy Football. And this is, I've got their Chaos team. We used it for Dungeon Bowl. And where is the star player? Where is the star player snake? Where is the star player snake? It's right there. There we go. Okay, so Snake Man STL, €3.50. So you can pick the model up for €8. You can pick the STL up for $3.50, and it comes supported. So I tell you what, before we look at the models themselves, we'll have a look at the STLs that you can buy instead of the Resin cast model. So when you buy the STL, it comes with 2 files basically. It might actually come with 3 files now I think about it. No, 2 files and 3 pictures. Supported in the back, and the actual pure STL here. So we can have a little bit of a zoom in and check out some of the detail. So I'm assuming with the way Fanath did this, because as we look at the model, we'll see some slight support marks there, that they just rapid prototyped a model out here. Now, as we go around and actually have a look at some of the detail, they've done a great job at the musculature, great job at the scales. They've got all that Aztec detail on there, the feathers. I mean, this is not new. This is what we've seen in every Lizardman team, and you know, kind of everything that's Amazonian, but they have done a great job with the detail, and the posing of the model is the interesting thing. It's not the most dynamic, but the Forge World model isn't that dynamic either. So actually what they've done a really good job of here is just getting a half snake, half man star player in a pose that stays within the Blood Bowl cylinder, that doesn't look like he's doing something stupid, and interestingly enough, just has a random heart that is ripped out in his hand, which is quite an interesting detail. I don't know if that's supposed to be the ball or not, I don't know. But what we've got this kind of hand wavium thing here. Like, it definitely gives the vibe of these are not the Blood Bowl players you were looking for. These are not the droids you were looking for. Which kind of plays into the look into my eyes ability that Boa Constrictor has. Do I believe this guy's got dodge step? Yes, I do. So, STL model, beautiful. Let's have a look at the supported version as I elegantly move this over. Now, can confirm this prints out perfectly without any fandangling. There's a few issues with some models where you buy pre-supports and actually they're not pre-supported as well as you'd like. Punga, bless them. If you print something on the first day of the Patreon drop, you tend to get a couple of fails. This I didn't muck around with. I just wanted to print it out 100% scale with supports as they are, printed on my Mars 2 Pro, standard setting, standard resin. Luckily, just about standard temperature, and it came out perfectly. And there was none of this flipping kind of detail that was a bit vulnerable. It just came out beautifully. Now we'll have a look at the 3D print compared to the physical model in a second. But I wanted to show off the support so you could kind of see how they've done it. They've done it at a good angle. They've kept the face detail nice. And all the support work is basically underneath. So great job on supports. Let's have a look at the models. Okay, so we've got my little box of joy here. It comes in a plastic blister pack with good old foam and a good old 32mm base. Ooh, haven't got my models. We'll have to do the size comparisons in a second. So we'll pop this open. I have had a quick look at this on the podcast. Unfortunately, the podcast audio I destroyed just by reckless not double checking, which led to the podcast being completely unlistenable. But we had a quick look at the model on the cast. So there we go. So straight out of the box, the model is ready to go. We'll do size comparisons in a second, but let's see how much detail we can get on our camera. Can I get it so close? I cannot get it that close. Right, let's do here. So this is the resin version of the model that you buy. This is the one that's €8. And you know what? Detail is cracking. It's all there. Interestingly with this, if you roll it under, you can see support marks. You can see pock marks. Now, I couldn't see, and this is what we talked about on the podcast, that is now lost to all time. I couldn't see any mold lines. So I believe that they've now got rapid prototyping on the go at Fanath, which should be really good for their production stuff. It's what Grebo do, and Grebo do it brilliantly. Fanath, clearly, keeping up to mark with it as well. It keeps the cost down at €8 a model, which is wonderful. Means they've got essentially no overhead for stock, and we get beautifully executed, ready to go models with no imperfections. Like, we are in a golden age of Blood Bowl. Anyway, you can see all the detail is there. You can see I couldn't see any ringing. This is the interesting thing. So when you 3D print, if you print at an angle, sometimes you can get layer lines, which are akin to like those 3D models of pharaohs and pyramids you get. I couldn't see anything, which means that they have now perfected it. So that is the resin version, and this is my printed version. So this has come out of the printer just like an hour ago. I washed it quickly, took the supports off quickly, and left it to dry in the sun. Normally you'd want to give it a couple of rinses. You can see there's a bit of shine in the depths where I haven't cleaned it off as well as I should have. Right, size wise, I wanted to compare the resin produced model and my 3D printed model. The files are bang on exactly the same, so there's no size adjustment for the STL. If you're going to be getting the STL or the model, your model will be exactly the same size. Now the difference is, obviously, if you're 3D printing it, you can upscale it or downscale it to your heart's content. But you can see we've got the same resin print lines, not print lines, but support marks there. And even though I printed this out on my Mars 2 Pro, I can't see any rings. I can't see any print lines. So if you've got a 3D printer, €3.50, you've got a beautiful STL that comes pre-supported. That's the same price as brute funds on a 1-to-1 level. For €8, you get a model cleaned, ready to go, that is just beautifully produced. Let me grab a couple of models and we do some size comparisons. So here we've got the resin produced version of the model, and we'll grab our trusty strength 3 size comparison. So if we look from a size point of view, actually the mass is about the same as a human. Obviously the dude's got a big snake tail, so there's going to be more of him. But if we look at the model from like an armor point of view, from a bigness point of view, He lines up brilliantly with a strength 3 human, and actually, base-wise, he will fit merrily on a 32mm base, and the actual model does come with a 32mm base. Not quite the same size as Games Workshop's, but very, very close. In fact, it's actually a little bit bigger, which is unusual. But on the base, you can see there that he fits nicely within his cylinder of space, okay? And he's got that hand out to defend. So, size-wise, beautifully up against a Strength 3 player. If this star player does land at Strength 4, actually, you can probably get away with it. And this is the interesting thing. The advantage of having the digital model is actually if this star player does land as a Strength 4 star player, well, you just knock it up to 115%, and actually he's going to come out looking like a big boy. If you've bought the Resin model, actually he'll pass as Strength 4. Foreigner's passed as Strength 4, and there's Strength 3 model size, so it really doesn't matter too much. But as you can see, he is less big than a Strength 4 Black Orc, but about the right size as a human thrower. And I think that's probably the size that this star player is meant to be. And there you have it. We've got 2 star players, technically, from Fanath. Right, the sculpt. I don't think this paint job does the sculpt justice, which is saying something, because this is actually painted far nicer than I can paint it. But the detail that's on the sculpt, whether you've resined it or 3D printed it, is going to be one of those classic, it's going to paint itself. This is a contrast painter's dream, and honestly that's what we're kind of looking for these days. Blood Bowl, it's about the game. The models are cool, but it's about the game. And then there are some people who prefer the models, but those people could honestly paint dirt to look like god artwork. So actually having a model that's going to be there to just help deliver a great looking game really quickly, superb. But also there's plenty of canvas there for this kind of work. You can see they've done all this this cell shading and non-metallic metal. It's beautifully done. But quite frankly, prime, metallics, and then your contrast green or whatever, this dude's going to be absolutely flipping ready. I really love this. I love that we've got a third party that's gone, oh, cool stuff, Games Workshop. Doodle-doodle-doo, you know. And we've got a model that is accessible by anybody, and that's just absolutely tip-top. So do let me know what you think in the comments. If you like the STL and 3D printed version available, I think it's genius. I think that's what I really hope we go that way in the future, because you get the best of both worlds with a great sculpt at a great price, at a turnaround that is just phenomenal. This is brilliant. I just can't wait to see the other star players, because, come on, Fanath, let's see if you can knock out the park again. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think of the model, the style, the aesthetic, the whole 3D printed and resin version. I love it. Anyway, we'll be back soon with more Blood Bowl content. Happy blocking. Thanks very much for watching. We really appreciate your support. If you want to help support the channel even further, please like and subscribe, or come join us on our Patreon. We have early access to content. We get loads of feedback from you guys, and we try and do competitions as much as we can. Or you can get yourself some Bonehead podcast merch on our Spreadshirt site. So if you want to support a team, especially for the Bonehead Championship, you can pick up a shirt, a mug, things like that. It all helps support the channel, and we really appreciate it. Anyway, links below. Thank you very much. Happy blocking.